Hello everyone. Welcome back to our video Bible study series. This is Functioning as the Lord's Church, but things are just a little different this time around. I made mention at the end of the last video that here at Granbury Street we are now back to in-person Bible classes on Wednesday night. And this video series was originally intended to kind of fill that spot until we did get back to it. Well, now that we are, I didn't want to discontinue it altogether. So I thought what we might do is kind of transition and reformat here. So what you'll see going forward are Functioning as the Lord's Church shorts. And that is the same material, the same type of thing that we're covering in this class. And by the way, you can still watch and tune in to the class. We've got it available on our live stream and on Facebook, so you can watch those videos even after the fact. But here for the YouTube channel, I just want to pick up the tidbits, maybe hit the highlights, and kind of share with you some of the additional information as I continue to give you an abridged version of what would be the points that normally fit into this study. Now, I'll tell you one thing that really stands out to me, and I think all of us probably experienced this at some point. To get back to in-person Bible class is such a blessing. I am very thankful for technology and what we're able to do. I'm supremely thankful to those who have helped me learn enough to be able to do this. But, sitting alone in a room with a computer, talking to a camera, it is simply not the same as being together in person, live with brothers and sisters, and to be able to ask questions and generate some discussion, get a back and forth going as we're opening up God's Word together. And you can really see the beauty of God's design that, yes, we would study on our own. There is certainly place for personal Bible study, but also that we would study collectively, that we would discuss the Scriptures. And that is such a benefit. And I think it's funny, as we're here talking about edification, that's the topic we're within right now for Functioning as the Lord's Church. It is edifying to hear the church family talk about these scriptures. It's edifying to be in person in a live Bible class, so I've been supremely helped by it. But like I said, I didn't want to just stop and have these videos end at a strange point, so we're going to try and make something new and something fun, looking at maybe an 8 to 10 minute range for these shorts, and to share maybe some of what comes out of that discussion in class, or to bring in some additional information, kind of tracking along the same way. Okay, so for tonight's short, let's take a look at Ephesians 4:29. And this is a verse that we've discussed a little bit before. We had it in our long-form videos, but we got to talking about it in class last week. And I wanted to kind of expound a little bit more on this and help you along the way as we continue talking about edification. So Ephesians 4:29, it says, "Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers." Now, there's a lot that you can see here. Of course, we've mentioned edification is not all about words. It's not exclusively about how we speak to one another, but that is a very large part of it. And it's a key way of how you and I can show that we value our brothers and sisters, that we value the church family by choosing to speak with respect, with love, with patience, and to talk well toward each other, showing that favor and that kindness. So it says, "Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth." And when you hear corrupt, you might think of decay, sort of like a tarnishing or a pollution. It's sort of the opposite of health. This is what's causing harm. It's wearing down rather than building up, and that kind of ties back to our definition. Or else you could go a different way with it and look at corrupt sort of in the realm of technology. If you have a file that becomes corrupted, or if you have a virus that's corrupting your hard drive, you are making different pieces, different files, different portions of data irretrievable. And it's sort of like the difference between order and chaos. And of course, that corruption is the chaos. Well, you can see how the way we speak, if it's not informed by God's word, and if it's not the kind of way God would like us to speak to one another, that's going to create chaos because we're not operating within His order. and it is doing harm to the body rather than health, and it is being that brotherhood wrecking ball to tear down rather than to build up. And if that isn't clear or wasn't clear, you can see in the second part of the sentence a really good way to understand this. Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but rather, what is good for necessary edification. So the corruption, of course, is bad, but we want what is good, and this is what is pleasant, what is fit for use, what is proper, what is delightful even. And so it is good to speak words of truth. Of course, we look to God's word first and foremost for edification, and our obedience to that and how we speak to one another will help to edify others. And our edification, it is necessary. This isn't edify when you feel it's necessary. It is always necessary that we would edify one another. That's part of the design for how we ought to function. That's the whole idea of this class. And to say that it's necessary, I think it's helpful to stop and consider. If you're going to encourage someone, you don't have to wait until they are visibly discouraged. You don't have to wait until they're down and say, okay, now I'll encourage them. Encourage someone now. Encourage someone as they're doing good. Encourage someone when they're, at their best, when they're working, doing the things that we need members of the body to do. The idea is to inform those members of the body who are busy in the work and let them know we're thankful for them. That's building up. That's speaking to the health of the body rather than to harm, rather than to decay. And then this last phrase here, that it may impart grace to the hearers. The word grace can mean something a little bit different depending on how it's used and where it's found in the Bible. But the most literal translation of this Greek word, it is favor or kindness. And so, you tie that in with some of the ways we define God's grace, unmerited favor, or to say that God treats us better than we deserve. Do our words show kindness, show favor to others? And are we speaking to others better than they perhaps deserve, or better at least than they spoke to us? And I think it's kind of a helpful tool to think, can I maintain my proper use of words, my proper use of speech, even when those around me are not? And of course, the idea and the goal here of speaking with grace is to open doors for sharing the message of the gospel. Open doors for speaking the teaching of grace, the message of God's grace, and so that others would be obedient to it as well. And so you can see how a lot of this would tie into evangelism. There's always overlap between the works of the church, but for edifying, for strengthening the brothers and sisters, and by extension really building up all those that we meet with our words, we have to follow this command, and it is a command. Instruction that says, you do not let corrupt words come out of your mouth. Instead, choose words that are fit for use, words that are beautiful and delightful, because it is necessary that each one would be improved and instructed morally and spiritually, that we would pick each other up and support each other in the best way, and always seek those opportunities to communicate favor and kindness and the true message of the gospel, and that is to impart grace with our mouth. All right, that'll do it for this time, but thank you so much. I appreciate you continuing with me through these videos, and we'll try and shoot for about 8 to 10 minutes each time through here. So we'll be back next week with another Functioning as the Lord's Church shorts, talking about some of these verses. I hope that you and your family continue to be happy and healthy, and that you're doing well. Until next time, take care and God bless you.